Ozempic was never supposed to be famous. It launched in December 2017 as just another diabetes medication. But then something completely unexpected happened. The drug exploded into a global phenomenon and ended up reshaping not only the pharmaceutical world, but also the food industry and even consumer behavior. And now, we're finally starting to see the cracks in this story. The momentum's slowing, the hype is cooling off, and the stock is reacting hard. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how we got here, from Ozempic's meteoric rise through exactly what's happening right now to drive that sharp drop in stock price. All right, let's get into it. If we go back to December 2016, Novo Nordisk, which is the parent company for Ozempic, filed for FDA approval for their soon-to-be diabetic drug. Then they received their approval in December 2017, and that was their takeoff point. This was only supposed to be a diabetes drug. But looking at the clinical data, even in those early trial periods, they were already seeing weight loss. There had already been documented cases of significant weight loss, even though it was considered a secondary outcome. It was a little blip on the radar, but that would later change. So between 2018, the first year where they started to get going, in 2020, doctors who had been prescribing this diabetes medication to their patients were noting significant weight loss, 20, 30, 50 pounds. So doctors were starting to see these side effects, and the patients were very much appreciating these side effects as well. So there was this is kind of like an underground stage that was happening, a little calm before the storm. It was happening all over. Patients were going back to doctors. Doctors were noting the effects. So it wouldn't be long until this was picked up by social media in the form of people giving before and after pictures. And that's what happened. Enter 2020, the year 2020. And that's exactly what happened on TikTok. People started posting very dramatic before and after pictures. Celebrities picked it up. Then, the rumor mill started, and it started to spread through Hollywood. And, once it hit the TikTok scene, that was kind of the beginning of this whole upward trajectory. Demand started to skyrocket fast. And this was a little bit of an issue because, with all this social media buzz, people were visiting their doctors and, demanding this drug even though they didn't have any diabetic reason for it. And that was causing a pinch in supply. They were actually had a problem restocking this to where like legitimate patients couldn't get their supply even though they actually were diabetic. So there was a real supply issue here. Now, what happened was interesting. Novo Nordisk, again, that's the parent company, Novo Nordisk. It's a company out of Denmark. Responded in June 21 by releasing a second drug, the exact same drug, but it had a different FDA approval called Wegovy. And this second drug was exactly the same, but it was FDA approved for weight loss. So that now people who wanted it purely for weight loss were able to get it for that reason, for the same company, from the same company. So that was kind of a cultural phenomenon when people realized they could lose a bunch of weight by taking this drug, and now they had a drug that they could take, and it was all above board. Now, as they rose, Wegovy was so massive that CBS reported, at a CBS News report, said Novo Nordisk had this company by itself had a larger market cap than the entire country of Denmark, which is its country of origin. So the company's market cap was larger than the whole GDP of its home country. So that's how fast this company was growing. It was definitely a sensation, and this was only a couple years ago. And in another article, by mid-2023, Yahoo Finance reported that Novo Nordisk hit over 400 billion in market cap. and officially became Europe's most valuable company, even overtaking Louis Vuitton. In October 2023, that same year, you started to get some data from retailers. Walmart noted that so many people were taking these drugs that they were literally buying less food, especially in the snacks and sweets section. So so this was actually having impact on retailers. Another article from Tilly Distribution showed that by 2024, food producers were starting to make smaller portion sizes, lower sugar, and higher protein options. This is a direct impact from Ozempic on the market. If we take a look at this next stock chart, we can see that there was an insane run up and then a crash on the other side. Now, what is causing this crash? And it's simple economics. See, this company was kind of had the first in advantage. Any company that has a first in advantage gets all the market share until competition starts coming in and levels it out. So, a US based company started that exact approach. Company called Eli Lilly is US based, competing directly against them, and they took a significant market share. Part of the reason was that they were having a supply problem, and so customers were looking around for alternatives, and they didn't have the same. Eli Lilly did not release the same product; it was a different product, and the clinical data shows that the product released by Eli Lilly was actually a better product in that you had more weight loss and less side effects. You see also media coverage changing, which was going to happen to kind of highlight some of the side effects of taking these types of medications. Side effects like Ozempic face muscle loss, weight regain after stopping. So you have media shifting. You have competition, and this is leading to what we saw in this last reports from. So this led to a report from the Guardian showing that the Ozempic parent company is really starting to hit some turbulence. They announced company layoffs. That's not a good sign. They cut their sales outlook. They have lost over 100 billion in market cap. And they've lost a significant market share to US competitors and I'm sure other competitors. So that is why we're seeing the dip in the stock price. It's just kind of a market leveling out. You know, one company can't have it all. So you have increased competition. The company itself wasn't ready for the demand. They didn't see that coming. So they had to, I'm sure, invest a lot and do a lot of expanding to be able to handle the increased volume. And during that time is when you're going when they saw competition spring up because the customers were not being served. So that opened up a kind of a window for competition that took advantage of it. So where are we today? As mentioned, the company's most likely not going to go out of business. It's just the demand is high, absolutely high. I mean, you can look around and see that. That's not going to go anywhere. It's like a little miracle, little miracle drug. But that the drug's not going to go anywhere. Demand is still high, but the wild growth phase is done. The infinite growth phase is done. What we're seeing now is slower growth, stronger competition, some pullback, and we're seeing some consumer behavior shifting, and it's a more realistic outlook. So the company's not probably not going to go out, but it's going to re-level. So the hype is kind of over, and now is where we're going to kind of enter the next phase, where we'll see how Novo Nordisk does against strong competition like Eli Lilly and whoever else may spring up. If you like this video, please consider subscribing and have a good day.